I know how hard and frustrating picking your PC components can be when you're a beginner. That's why I made this series where you send me your PC build list, and if something is wrong, I will fix it for you to have the best performance for your money. Now, this is not my video idea, this is PC Builder's YouTube channel video idea, so I recommend you subscribe to his channel. You will have it down below in the description, and these type of videos are all about helping the community to find the right computer. If you want to be featured on the next Boost My Build video, you will have the instructions down below in the comment section. With that being said, let's start. With the first subscriber, we have Yasin. He sent me the PC part picker list and told me I want to start streaming as a part-time career if I can, so I want this PC build for streaming / gaming, of course. Then he told me 1080p and 1440p resolution are ideal since he wants to play competitive games, and he also told me that his monitors are going to be 240Hz 1080p, and then the other one it's a 1440p low hertz monitor to edit other tasks. He's hoping to be a competitive games streamer, so he's going to be playing games like Fortnite, Modern Warfare, Warzone, Apex, Valorant, etc. And then he told me his budget is around $1,200 and $1,500 since he has to buy everything else for the setup, and he also asked if he should wait for Black Friday. So to answer your question, yes, you should wait for Black Friday to test the deals, but anyway, I'm going to fix this build because even if you wait for Black Friday, the components are going to be the same, or maybe you change 1 or 2 components, but at the end the structure is going to be the same. And remember that you will have all of these PC builds down below in the description. I mean the boosted builds, because maybe you're looking for a gaming PC for the same price, then you will have it down below in the description. So there are a couple things here that I like, and there are a couple things that I don't like. For starters, the MSI Mac V660 Tomahawk Wi-Fi motherboard, it's a great motherboard, but you're not going to be able to overclock your CPU, and this is the i5-12600K, meaning that it's unlocked. So if you want to overclock your CPU down the line, or maybe you want to overclock it as soon as possible, then I do not recommend you going for a V660 motherboard. However, if you're not going to overclock anything, then it makes sense to go with this motherboard. Then there are 2 components that I don't like for this build, those being the graphics card and the case. First, let's talk about the case. The NZXT H510 is not going to be the best one in terms of airflow, and considering that you have the i5-12600K, the RTX 3070 Ti, which we are going to talk about that in a second, you need a case with better airflow. Now, I understand that you like the NZXT aesthetics, but the airflow is going to be really bad for your type of components. Maybe if you're on a budget build, then it's not going to matter that much, but for this type of build, avoid this case. And then for the graphics card, I think that it's a total overkill, the 3070 Ti, and the difference between the 3070 Ti and the 3070, it's only around a 7% boost while gaming, and the price is like $150 more expensive, so I do not recommend you going for the 3070 Ti in any situation. If you want to go for 4K gaming, then go with the 3080, and if you want to go for 1440p, then just go with a 3070, you're not going to notice a difference. And on top of that, you're $166 over budget. You told me your budget was between $1,200 and $1,500, and you're already at $1,666. With that being said, let's boost this build. So what I did here is that I changed a couple of things. The first thing that I changed was the RAM. I picked RGB RAM for this build at a cheaper price, which is a plus. Then I changed the CPU cooler to the NRMax 240, it's a bit cheaper and it's going to perform better. Then I kept the V660 motherboard, considering that you're not going to overclock the CPU. Then I changed the storage to a faster one just for $3 extra, which to be honest is not going to make a huge difference, but it is only $3 for a faster SSD, so why not? And this is a big change that I made. I picked the MSI Ventus RTX 3070 for $530, which like I said before, the 3070 Ti is not going to make a difference. And on top of that, you're looking to play competitive titles, so the 3070 is going to be all that you're going to need. And then I changed the case to the NZXT H510 Flow. This one has a front mesh panel and you keep the NZXT aesthetics as well. And on top of that, it's at the same price, so there's no reason to go with the other case instead of this one. Now, there are better cases for this price, but if you want to keep the NZXT aesthetics, I completely understand. However, I will leave down below in the description my recommended case for the same or similar price that is going to perform much better than this one in terms of airflow, and you're also going to have more space for a 360 all-in-one liquid cooler. I kept the power supply. This is a great A tier rated power supply, a 750 watts. It's right on point. You can go ahead and pick a 650 if you want, but I think a 750 $750 is the sweet spot for this type of build. And the total price, it's below $1,500 at $1,447, which we are under your budget. So I think I did a pretty good job here, but let me know in the comment section what you guys think about the boosted build. Now let's move on to the next one. With the next subscriber we have JS World. He told me that he wants to be able to do gaming, content creation and streaming, and his resolution is going to be 1080p, and his favorite game is mainly Fortnite. Also his aesthetic goals are all white with RGB and his budget is $2,000. Now before boosting this build, I want to say that if you have $2,000, don't go with a 1080p monitor or get a much cheaper PC and save your money, because for 1080p you're looking to spend $1,200 max, especially if your favorite game is Fortnite, even if you want an all RGB PC. However, I boosted your build and I put a 1440p high refresh rate monitor. We are going to talk about that in a second, but just like I said, if your main goal is 1080p and Fortnite, do not spend $2,000 on a gaming PC. However, this is your build. You went with the i7-12700K, great processor by the way, I love the CPU. Then you pick the Corsair iQ H100Y Elite 240 all-in-one liquid cooler. This is a bit overpriced in my opinion, only because of the brand, and we can get a bunch of CPU coolers for a much better price that are going to perform the exact same. Then for the motherboard, you pick the Asus Prime 3690 motherboard. Is a great choice, but it's $220, which once again it's a bit expensive considering that we have motherboards for cheaper that are going to have the same or similar features, especially if you're just going to do gaming and Fortnite. Then for the memory kit, you went with the Corsair RGB Pro SL2 32 gigs of RAM. This is totally fine, I wouldn't change it, and because you're looking for streaming and content creation, it's going to help you out a lot. Then for the graphics card, you pick the RTX 3070 Ti, just like I mentioned with the last one. Do not go with the 3070 Ti. Then for the case, you pick the LANCOOL 205 mesh. Now I absolutely love this case, however at $117 it's a bit overpriced considering the other cases that you can get for a cheaper price. You can't go here with a 360 all-in-one liquid cooler, which is what you want to buy for the i7-12700K. I think you can get away with a 240, but a 360 all-in-one liquid cooler will be much better for this processor. Then the power supply, it's a good power supply, however a bit overpriced once again. And then please do not buy the Windows 11 key for $150. This is not what you want to do. If you want Windows 11, then go ahead and buy it from a third-party seller. These are not a scam, don't worry about it. These are legit, so you can get a Windows 11 key for around $20. So please do not buy Windows 11 for $150. So now let's boost this build. So here I changed a couple of things that are going to give you a much better gaming experience. The first thing that I changed was the CPU cooler. I picked the Betro B360 all-in-one liquid cooler. Like I said before, this is a 360 all-in-one liquid cooler, so it's going to be better for that CPU. But in order to change that CPU cooler, I needed to change the case because it's not going to fit on the LANCOOL. So for that reason, I picked the Fantex Eclipse G360A from Mesh Panel ATX case. This one already comes with 3 pre-installed fans. I added one extra for the exhaust fan, and overall I think it's even nicer than the one that you picked, and you get better performance for a cheaper price. Then for the motherboard, I picked the ASRock 3690 with Wi-Fi ATX motherboard. This is cheaper than the one that you picked, and it also comes with Wi-Fi included, which is always a plus. And in terms of motherboard features, it's really similar to the one that you picked, maybe slightly worse, but nothing that you're going to notice for your games and your needs. Then I kept your RAM kit and also went with a terabyte of M.2 SSD. This is a Gen 3 drive, the Western Digital Blue. And one thing that I've noticed is that you didn't include your SSD on your build. For that reason, your build is going to be over budget, and this one it's not even over budget and it's much better, and we are going to continue right now. I picked the RTX 3070, this is the white gigabyte version for $550. You can get a 3070 for cheaper if you want a black one, but because this is an all white build, I went with the white version, so you have to spend a bit of extra money. But anyway, it's going to be $150 cheaper than the 3070 Ti that you went with. Then for the power supply, I picked the Superflower LEAD X3. This is an ARGB white power supply, however you can't see your power supply on this case, so it doesn't matter if it's white or black, but this one is cheaper than the one that you picked. It's also white, it has RGB, and this is an 8-tier rated power supply, so you are not risking any of your components. And then for the Windows key, like I mentioned before, do not buy it at its full price, buy it from a third-party seller and it's going to be much cheaper. For the exhaust fan that I mentioned before, I picked the ID Cooling NO12 NZXT. It's an ARGB cooler that is going to look really good. And then the main part, I added you a 1440p 170Hz monitor. This is a Gigabyte M27Q. I absolutely love this monitor. This is a budget 1440p high refresh rate monitor, and since you're going to play Fortnite, don't worry about it because you have a high refresh rate display, and if you want to play other games, you have that 1440p resolution. Like I mentioned before, if you're going for 1080p and you don't want to go for 1440p, then do not spend this amount of money on a gaming system. And also, if you take out the monitor, it's going to cost you around 1600 bucks, which is a good price for this type of build. But if you want the best gaming experience, I do recommend you going with the i5 12600K and maybe a 3080. That is going to give you a much better performance, and going with an all black build is going to be even cheaper. But of course, if you prefer the aesthetics and also a good performer, I think that this PC is going to be just that. So I hope that you feel like this build is boosted. Let me know, guys, what do you think about these two builds, if you like them or not. And if you don't want to build a PC by yourself because you don't have the PC knowledge, I do recommend you buying a pre-built system for that reason. But there are a bunch of scams when buying a pre-built PC. That's why I highly recommend you watching my video about the best pre-built PCs for the month of October. You will have that video in the top right of the screen, and if you don't want to see that video, don't worry about it, because down below in the description you will have plenty of gaming PCs that are pre-built systems for different type of budgets. So if you don't want to see a video, you will have it down below. And please leave a like and subscribe, but most importantly, hit that bell button if you got value out of this video, because I upload new deals and I try to do this every single day. Maybe some days I don't because I don't find really great deals, but when I do find a really good deal, either a pre-built PC or PC components for a PC build, I upload the deal on my post. So hitting the bell button is really important if you want to keep up with the best deals of the market. Thank you guys for watching, thank you for the support, and I will see you